You know what? Poppy Playtime, as far as just the games on their own, kind of gets a bad rap by the FNAF community and just as a whole. But as someone who has been following the FNAF series since its very beginning and has seen all the fan games and all the different takes on it, I honestly personally don't see Poppy. I see Poppy Playtime as FNAF if all of the series was free roam, right? Like this series is a lot of fun. Its visuals are on point. The design work is really good. The atmosphere is tense, and the mechanics are, for the most part, decent. There's nothing really objectively wrong with these games. They're fun. They're interesting. The creature designs are very good. Poppy herself is a fun design. I don't have really much wrong to say about it. I really don't. I mean, chapter 1 was great for what it was. In chapter 2, much like FNAF 2, takes Poppy Playtime chapter 1, takes its mechanics, and turns it up to 11 with the new antagonist, Mommy Longlegs. Now, plenty of people have talked about this. My channel's much bigger than my own. And, there's not really much else I can say other than, Poppy Playtime chapter 2 takes chapter 1's mechanics, turns it up to 11, and makes the game series far more interesting. Now, obviously, there have been Let's Plays after Let's Plays of this game. We know how it starts, we know how it finishes, we know, Mommy Longlegs is killed by a grinder. We know all that. And it's still fun. It's still a very interesting series. You know what? I enjoy it, and I think it's really cool. Now, what I like most about these games is that they both chapters end with a chase sequence. Now, with chapter 1, it's Huggy Wuggy, and one thing that really gets my hyperactive imagination going is the prospect of being chased by, well, what's essentially a haunted something. And that's one thing I don't think FNAF really did all that great until Security Breach, and even then, it wasn't very good. So that's where I think this game and chapter 2 kind of excel. But really though, this is the most exciting part of both chapters, is the chase. Now, chapter 1, the chase against Huggy Wuggy is brief. I mean, but as been very obvious, it is a tech demo, and you know what? The more you think about the lore of this series, the more you really think about it, you realize that both Huggy Wuggy and Mommy Longlegs are kind of tragic. Now, I'll get more into detail about Mommy Longlegs, seeing as she has an actual personality. But as far as chapter 1 goes, it's still pretty terrifying. You're getting chased around by this Wilt from Foster's Home for Imaginary Fans and Grover fusion dance thing with a terror face, and you don't really fight him traditionally. You just kind of drop him like this, and really that's all you get with him. Whereas with Mommy Longlegs, you get a whole lot more. You finish that first puzzle, you're talking to Poppy, and then boom, she just gets yeetus deletus right down this chasm, and then you finally get to meet our main antagonist, who takes your hand, and makes her presence known. Now, Mommy Longlegs is a far more interesting character to me than Huggy Wuggy is. And yeah, no, honestly, I would be doing this too if this was me playing the game, but alas, it is not. As you can see on the top right, that is the person who is playing. I'll put a link in the description to this video, so you can check it out for yourself if you haven't already. It would surprise me if you didn't. But this whole opening really sets the stage for how terrifying this character is going to be much down the line. And it's great. It's really great. And as I kind of hinted at with Huggy here, and I said it earlier, and I'll bring it back here. Mommy Longlegs is very much a tragic character for a multitude of reasons. Now, those of you that are aware of the Poppy Playtime lore, you know that there was experiments on children and whatnot, and let's just say for the sake of this video that Mommy Longlegs is not possessed, quote unquote, by a child. You know, Mommy Longlegs did help out a great deal with, playing with the kids and whatnot. She says so herself multiple times when you interact with her. And I wonder how she would react to learning her role in, the deaths of all the children and all that kind of stuff. I wonder how she would react because she's essentially been by herself because, the kids stopped coming and she didn't know why. I don't think anyone ever told her why. I don't think anyone really thought to tell her why. And that's the tragedy of it. She's basically been sitting here by herself in this factory for years, waiting for someone to show up, waiting for some more kids to show up so she can, play with the kids and have a good time. Because, she's basically a giant toy anyway. So the tragedy of this character is that she has no idea the role she played in what's probably the deaths of a lot of people, innocent children. And it's tragic because she had no idea. And she's talking about the children in this motherly way, and she even says, they called me mommy because I was the closest thing to a mother that most of these kids had. And and what's worse is these kids are orphans. They're being sacrificed for the sake of science in this universe. This popping flower thing, which I myself still know nothing about. But it's insane. And I would imagine that if, our character actually had a voice, if our character found out the facts, what really happened, would our character, whoever they are, actually, tell her, hey, whoever you were before, here's what happened to the kids. And, she's talking about, playing fair, hey, you cheated, blah, 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 blah. She's so used to interacting with children that the idea of a prospect of dealing with an adult is just alien to her. But, once you get to this point right here, where she's lost all sanity, you really feel bad for her. And you really feel bad for everyone else who was alive at this point. Bunzo, Huggy, Poppy, maybe. But, just, holy cow, man. I mean, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, but good grief, you really, really, really feel bad for these characters. And especially Mommy Longlegs, who had a direct line with all these kids. And it's very tragic. Because I feel like, and this is my personal theory. I feel like if Mommy Longlegs found out what happened to the kids, what happened to everyone, I can't imagine the devastation she would feel, the pure shock, as she literally jumps to the play, right? The pure agony she would feel, and and everyone else really, because I would imagine more than just Mommy Longlegs interacting with the children. But to step into the game here, I love that in Chapter 2, just to come back to the, I'll talk about it more in a minute. But I love that all the mechanics kind of come full circle, the swinging and whatnot, and, avoiding the stretchy limbs and whatnot. It's very cool. It's very cool. But I would imagine the amount of shock and just despair she would feel. I can't even imagine the amount of, what have I done? What would she really do at this point? She spent all those times and alone for years, and she had no idea why. And come to find out that it's partly her fault that the kids are gone and nobody else is around. But you know what? I kind of do wish our character kind of spoke, but even if they did, once we got to this point, it was much too late for her. And we all know what happens next.
What have you done? You make me part of you! You can't do this to me!
And that is the tragedy of Poppy Playtime. This series, and even FNAF, it gets very dark. It gets very depressing. But man, oh man, is it a compelling story. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And I'll see you next time.